everybody, Candace here to do my evening cold water bath for you. It's almost like a kill two birds with one stone today. Doing this for the Driven Mind Training Polar Plunge and also for a contest being hosted by Ice Barrel and some other wonderful companies today if you do a cold water bath, which wasn't able to do that last week because that cold snap that came through, it was frozen solid, and finally about Thursday or Friday it had thawed out enough that I could tip it over, and here's the big ice cube that was previously in the tub. So but unfortunately I have a crack somewhere in it, and you might even be able to hear the water draining out, so I got to do a little troubleshooting of that this week. But I figured while I'm doing my cold water bath today, I'll share with you where my interest in doing this came from. But again, bear with me, the first few seconds are the hardest, and after that, I'd be happy to chat with you. So hang tight. So my initial interest in swimming in cold water actually started in, I would say, the winter of 2019 when I was training for my 100-mile ultramarathon. And a lot of my training runs always started off, or a good majority of my training runs started off near a small lake. And I don't know why the thought ever crossed my mind, but I would look at that lake with the ice and, you know, maybe some open spots of water, and just think to myself, geez, I wonder what it would be like to swim in something like that. Again, I have no idea where that thought would even come from or why I would think that was a good idea. And following a few months later, I just happened to come across a story online about some women in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of me, and where this group of women and a few men, they get together and they swim outdoors all year long, all with no wetsuits. So I was like, wow, that really is something that's possible. So it was April of 2020, I made my first trip down, or I apologize, I think it might have been December of 2020 that I made my first trip down to swim with them and give it a try. And the water at that time was about 40-some degrees and the air temp was about the same. And but what I did realize, it was just an incredible experience, and you just feel so good after. And then a few months went by and I decided to go visit with them again in April of, I want to say 2020, I apologize, April. I might be thinking I've got my dates wrong. December 19 might have been the first time with them, and then maybe April of 2020 is when I followed back up with them. Because then it was beginning in, after with my 40th birthday in November 2020, I decided to have a New Year's resolution for myself, and kind of like just a goal for turning 40, that for that whole year I wanted to swim outdoors at least once a month with no wetsuit. So I had started in December of 2021 and carried that through all the way through December 2020 all the way through December of 2021, to where I swam outdoors at least once per month, non-wetsuit. A great majority of those were in a natural body of water like an area lake. And then finally December of 2021, I gifted myself this tub for Christmas so that I could take a cold water bath anytime that I like, and didn't have to drive out to the lake to do it. So that's my story of how I came to be here. But what I have come to love about cold water bathing is that yes, it physically feels good. Now again, it can be challenging the moment when the water is cold, but afterwards you just feel so good. I want to say just a mental rush that I want to compare to the end of a finish line of a big race that you've been training for, where you just have that tremendous feeling of accomplishment. But on the other hand, I was able to accomplish that in just a few minutes of cold water versus running, an egregious number of miles. But some other benefits I found with it is at times I have found that it helps me improve my sleep. So generally, I like to do it before bed and before I get a nice hot shower, and I just feel like I cozy up for a good night's sleep after that. But I also like it for the mental benefits, and that I've really found that oftentimes we're capable of more than we realize. And for example, back in the spring, I used to come out here and do 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. And then finally, just back in the spring of 2022, I had decided, you know what? 3 days per week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm doing it for 5 minutes regardless. And I found that when I just set that time and committed to it, I was able to do 5 minutes, even in temperatures that were colder when I was doing it for 2 minutes and change. So I then realized, well, geez, my mind has been the limiter the entire time because it was something that I could physically do. But just great practice for navigating or preparing yourself for like some adversities that you might face in everyday life. And I think about when somebody stands up to do public speaking and they get so anxious. Like, yes, you can get anxious when you're in the water here in the first few minutes, but you'll learn to calm and relax yourself. And I've been able to carry that same practice into other activities where I feel like I'm about to be like overwhelmed or feel anxious. And I want to say 9 times out of 10 it is helpful. I mean, every now and then it doesn't come through for me, but more often than not, I just fall back on that experience that I've gained in the cold water bath. Again, except for some videos where I've started to talk with you here, I at times just really use it as a time to like almost kind of meditate and focus, and I will kind of just just mentally process all the things that I'm grateful for, and maybe use it as a time that I might talk with God during that time, and maybe share some burdens there and ask for help and whatever it is that I feel I need help with. But it is a really good activity. I encourage everyone to give it a try. You start where you start and you go from there, and you never know, you might just like it. And I think that's all I have for you today. And it's funny how I talk here and I lose track of time, and I'm at 6 minutes and change, and it's probably the longest one I've done this season. So all right, and I like to end on even numbers, so 6:15. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you ever have any questions about cold water bathing, or want to come give it a try with me, just reach out and I'd be happy to oblige. All right.